Alright y'all, today I'm coming to y'all with the long-awaited interview tips and how to have a successful interview. So first off, let's just touch the bases. As you can clearly see, my hair is neat, it's groomed, even though it's kind of on the natural side, it's still groomed. However, my makeup is a nice clean canvas. It's nothing that's like overdone, like smoky eyes, or like any lashes that are like long and extensive or anything like that. Everything is pretty much nicely uniformed, and I do have on a red pop of lip. And for those of you when getting dressed for an interview, it's always a good thing to wear some form of red, whether it be your clothes, whether it be a red lip. In my case, that's what I mainly tried to focus on, was the lip. But however, my shirt, my button-up top does have red in it. However, red is a power color, and when you wear red, red also exudes confidence. So when getting ready to do an interview, those are the things that you need to pay attention to: your appearance. First impressions are lasting ones, and once you make that first impression, you'll never ever have a second chance to make it again. So to get started in the interviewing process, I'm going to tell y'all this. I have been on both sides of the seat. I have been the interviewer and I have been the interviewee. Basically going to give you some tips that the person interviewing you would ask. First off, never ever be late. Even 5 minutes early is still not early enough. I think for an interview, I think you should show up at least 15 to 20 minutes prior to the scheduled time. Therefore, you never know, maybe that they can get in and see you sooner. Or me being the manager, a lot of times when I knew I was about to have an interview, I would be somewhere nearby the front door, so that when the person walked in the door, you know what, I immediately could tell if they were here for an interview based off the way they were dressed and how they carried themselves. When I would see them go to ask for me and that they were there to meet for me, that also was like, you know, a way for you to kind of like get a vibe on, you know, how professional they're going to be, you know, far as the approach. When I walk up to people, the main thing is you got to give a nice firm handshake, introduce yourself, who you are, be polite, be cordial. I also think that when you sit down, your posture needs to be straight. You don't need to be slumped over and feeling like you don't want to be there, because you know what? The person interviewing you is reading your body language, and it's very important that you pay attention to that throughout the entire process. While sitting there, be sure to make direct eye contact. Be sure to speak fluently. If you stumble across your words, I mean, it's okay. To me, I've had people tell me that straight up they were very nervous. I would always say something humorous to try to like kind of break the ice, or if it was something that they had on that I liked or something like that, you know, I would ask them questions about, you know, where did they get it from, you know, who is it by, blah blah blah, and it just opens up natural dialogue. Another thing when interviewing, pay attention to your hands. Okay, I'm someone who talks with my hands, so when I'm explaining situations, yeah, I'm going to use my hand. I just try not to be so like out there with it, like, you know, where I'm crossing my own personal space line. A lot of interviewers definitely ask situational questions, and that is the direction that when interviewing, that is the direction interviews are going in now. People don't ask general questions, you know, your job history, yeah, they're going to ask that. You know, they're going to ask you far as performance and stuff like that. However, they're going to always put you in a situation. How would you handle XYZ? And you got to be ready to answer that question. So these are some of the things that I used to ask interviewees. And the first thing I would ask them is, tell me about yourself. Now, you need to be able to be fluent about talking about yourself. And when I say tell me about yourself, I don't mean like you gotta tell me like all this extra stuff. You know, you could just be simple and say, you know what, my name is Stephanie. I have a husband, I have 2 daughters, one is in college, one is in getting ready to go to high school, husband is in the military. You know, you just give them a gist of just for them to just like get a little window into your personal life. Tells you that you're a family person. Next thing, I would go in, I would tell them, you know, why I'm interested in this position, because that's going to be the next question. So you know what, you might as well just let that tell me about yourself just roll right on into that very next question. And you know what, generally speaking, you know, really tell them why you're interested in the position. You know, in my case, it would be, you know, I'm all about merchandising. I'm very creative. I like to see, you know, how far I could push the envelope out the box. And you know what, I just really like for people to give me the freedom to just basically show you what I can do. Another thing that a lot of interviewers ask, like I said, when it comes to situational questions, they also ask a lot of behavioral questions. And just basically, you know, how have you reacted in certain situations? And I could just tell y'all this, going back to the first question, telling me about yourself. My big thing when I first got my first management job and I had someone ask me that question, y'all, I had never managed anything, okay, just my household. And I was very direct and honest with her when I answered that question. I told her, I said, well, I've never been a manager. However, I do feel like I have leadership skills and leadership qualities as well. However, the one thing that I've managed, and I think I manage quite well, is my home and my family. Do you know what? She was very impressed that I even said that, because you know what? I took it out of a professional setting. However, my family is something that is very dear to me. Therefore, I'm going to make sure I manage that to the best that I can. And she was very impressed with my answer. Now, this is what I'm going to say. When they ask you how would you handle certain things, I had this question asked to me when I was interviewing with Cracker Barrel, and they asked me if there was anything that I've done in my past management experience that I would do differently now. And the answer was yes. When I worked for Charlotte Russe, I had a manager I ended up terminating prematurely due to the fact that I did not wait and allow loss prevention to do their job. I found out that she was stealing from me, she was on drugs, blah, blah, blah. And you know what? I took her in my office, sat her down, asked her what happened, got her side of the story, and basically I gave her a choice. You can either quit or you can be fired. And her reply was, you know, she would preferably like to resign. And you know what? I let her go. Now, this is why I said I would have done it differently. The company had thought that, you know what, if they would have had an opportunity to interview her, talk with her, that you know what, if she was doing it, possibly somebody else was doing it, and that I needed to allow them to do their job. Well, I got it. In the future, I said, you know what, that's something that I would do differently. And when the opportunity did come around again, y'all, yes, I actually let it happen like it was supposed to happen. Meaning, I allowed myself to suck up the people stealing from me, and turns out I had a ring of thieves in my store, and by loss prevention coming in and doing a job, they were actually able to uncover something that apparently I wouldn't have been able to do all by myself. It could have continued to go on. So when they're giving you these questions, just try your best to maintain your integrity. However, you know, just always be truthful. So when put in situations, and if you have been put in situations, employers like to hear that like real life situations have happened, how you dealt with it, how you handled yourself, how you handled other parties involved. They actually like to hear that. The next thing that I'm going to say is where a lot of people go wrong when interviewing when the employer actually says, do you have any questions? How many people say,
how much money I'm gonna make? What's my hourly pay? When we get paid? How many people y'all know that have literally asked questions like that? Wrong thing to ask, okay?
Hopefully, if you are sitting in front of the employer and interviewing, you've done your homework on the company. And I'm gonna tell y'all, I learned this when I was a district manager for Trade Secrets. And I learned that that was something that, you know, I needed to look for as the person giving the interview. Is that if I ask them, do you have any questions for me after I've interviewed you, and they say no, they're not really interested in working for this company. They're just interested in it for the money. And that's it. And do you really, really want to hire somebody that's all they're interested in? Well, this is what I'm going to say. When asked that question, you need to come ready. You need to have a list of questions, whether it be on an index card, whether it's on your phone, whether it's written down on a piece of paper, or it's memorized in your head. You need to have questions ready for that employer. And the very first question can be, why don't you tell me a little bit about the company? Why do I want to work here? What are the pros and cons of working for this company? What can I expect from this company as far as benefits? This is going to lead to the question that you want to ask as far as pay. It'll lead to that, hopefully. Another question that people should ask, if I want to grow with this company, you know, what are the steps that I need to do in order to do that? A lot of times, employers are very, very impressed when you flip the script, and it's basically you went from being interviewed to now you are interviewing them. Now you're making them question, how can I sell her this company? How can I get her to really want to come work for me now that I've gotten to know her and I'm interested in her coming on board and being a part of my team? How do I get her to want to come work for me? That's the big thing. And a lot of people fail on that part right there. The next thing that you must do is have a well-written resume. Now I'm going to say this. I know a lot of people go to the libraries and stuff like that, and people are always like, you know, trying to do their own resumes. However, it has never failed me in the past, therefore I will continue to do it in the future. I have always hired a resume writing company or person. That this is what they specialize in. They are in the know on what are the types of resumes that companies are looking for, buzzwords for, you know, when you're posting your resume online, applying online. Yeah, I want to be in the know, and I want to make sure that I'm being looked at. So you hire a professional resume writer. The last resume that I had written, I actually got 2 forms of a resume. One for my professional side, if I'm going to go back out into corporate America, and then a second was based off of my business. Why? Because my business is actually, my work history and my business are all in one. It shows all the job experience that I have and currently what I'm doing now. So that's something that you need to pay attention to. Like if you have your own business and you're an entrepreneur, you have something that you can be able to share with a client or a future investor. This is what I've done, and take a look at it. Basically, it's your portfolio all written out versus giving them a corporate America professional resume per se. You feel me? So I'm just going to say that I think that's a lot of things that people mess up on. And you know what? It's nothing wrong with being a talker. And me, I'm someone that likes to express myself with my words and in my hands. And I show up to that interview and I'm confident. And I'm going to tell y'all this. This is the secret. The longer the interview, the better your chances. Because you know what? As time goes on, it shows you that this employer is really interested in what I got to say, and they're interested in me coming onto their company. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or anything else that you would like me to definitely hit on far as the interviewing process and prepping for one, please be sure to comment below and let me know. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.